What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to a new episode of a series that I'm wanting to start for all the new and returning players to Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially the ones that have been birthed from Master Duel. So Master Duel has absolutely raised the awareness of this game that I've played for almost 13 years now. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a very long time. It's been off and on, but I've kept up with the metas and things like that. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a very special game to me just because I feel like it equates so much to everything that I play. Like, I love esports, and the biggest thing about esports is that there's different types of characters. Like, I play fighting games a lot, and the biggest thing that equates to Yu-Gi-Oh! With it is that it's so cool because there's different play styles. And so with this series, I want to go over how to build your own deck and how to make your own play style. And so I have a couple cards here from on Master Duel on my screen right now that I'm going to go over with you, and I'm going to show you the big three main types of decks that just encapsulate all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And starting off, let me pull my screen up here as my game captures. There we go. Alright, so I have a bunch of mishmash cards right here. And what I'm wanting to talk about first is the three main types of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! So, or three main types of decks, I'm sorry. And that's going to be aggro, control, and combo. So every deck you will find in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a mix of aggro, control, and combo. Now, I have these cards up to be examples. So, starting off with the most basic, I would say, of the three. Let me find my pin here. We have aggro. Now, aggro is going to be just what old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Was all about. Summon big monster and attack for game. And aggro is probably the most beginner friendly because it's not super hard. The only thing with aggro decks is that they are all early game. So if, say, you're playing a fighting game and you're a rushdown character, you would like an aggro deck. So starting off with an example, we just have Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. This is a Blue Eyes card. It runs super well with the Blue Eyes cards in the deck. And so this card in its entirety is just made to get you a one-turn kill, which stands for, or an OTK, which stands for one-turn kill, obviously. And so if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict double piercing battle damage. And so if it attacks a monster with 0 defense, that's a game. It's one attack and it's over. And so it being an aggro deck that's your one win condition. It's big monster attack. And so when you're thinking about cards like this, you really want to have a playstyle built around that. So that is one example of an aggro deck. And I'll go over downsides and stuff later. Just going into the second topic, we have control decks. Personally, I'm a control deck player. The control decks are more of a make your opponent stop playing. You'll find a lot of people hate fighting against control decks because, like, the big one running around right now is Eldritch. Let me pull him up real quick. Eldritch is the biggest control deck going around now just because it's so oppressive and it can run a lot of floodgates. So control decks aren't super necessary to, like, having a big monster on the field. It's to stop your opponent from playing and to have a bunch of disruptions on your opponent's turn, and then you can just kind of, like, out-resource your opponent, and it's the grind game. So control decks usually have a really good grind game, and they're able to build back up resources and just play the long con, basically. And then for our third topic is combo decks. You've probably seen a lot of combo decks running around in your high-ranked duels in Master Duel, which we have Drytron and things like Tri-Zoo Brigade and stuff like that. And combo decks really are just kind of, they harp on going in and out of the extra deck a ton, like 2-card combos, and these are the decks you hate fighting against because they are more, like, oh, you have to sit and watch this person play for like 5 minutes. A lot of people don't like combo decks, but this is really what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been for, I don't know, like the past 5 years. Combo decks have really been the meta, just because reading a card like this, when your opponent would special summon a monster or activate a spell or trap or a monster effect, you negate it. I mean, it's crazy. So combo decks usually end on a ton of negates, and so things like that are what you really want to take in. So going over like the very basics, aggro is make big monster in the game. Control is kind of grind out the game, and then combo is basically set up first turn, and your opponent can't do anything with their turn. So those are just the three main gists. So if any of those sound interesting to you, you're going to want to build a deck around that playstyle. And I'll have different episodes going over how to actually build a deck. Deck building in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was one of my favorite things. It's my absolute favorite thing to do in this game. I don't like dueling as much as just taking a concept of a deck and building it. So I really, really love deck building. And so I want to walk you guys through my ideas of what I use to deck build, but that's for a whole nother episode. Going over these decks again, I wanted to walk you through a couple of examples, and I wanted to walk you through some of the cons. So the cons of a OTK deck, for instance, or an aggro deck, we'll say, is that they are not defensive really in the slightest. Like this Chaos Max Dragon deck, that's your win condition, basically, if you're to build a deck around that, and it doesn't have a lot of grind game like a control deck does. So an aggro deck is all about getting out one big monster, blowing every card you have in your hand to just win the game fast and easy, and that is basically what you're wanting to take through that deck. Whereas something like a control deck, you're wanting to run through and just kind of play slow and methodical and really kind of react to what your opponent's doing, and you yourself are trying to dictate the pace of the game. So control sometimes has a advantage against an aggro deck, but it's like rock, paper, scissors. Every deck is going to be better and every deck's going to be worse than one or the other, but there are also fun little tips like that. And then combo decks are basically starting with one card. You can basically have 5 negates and your opponent can't play out of it. So it's super, super oppressive, but it's also the most big brain. You have to have a huge card knowledge to play a combo deck like that. And sometimes some people will say, oh, it plays itself, it's not that good. But having a big combo deck does take a lot of practice. I used to play Pendulum Magicians, and I had to sit for 30 minutes a day just trying to run through hands to see what I can do to optimize this. And so combo players do get a lot of flack, especially in Master Duel, because their turns take so long. But also that's just been Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time, and those players are working really hard to actually become optimal. So that's basically those big tips right there. So there are a couple decks that I wanted to talk about, mainly, for instance, Cyber Dragon. Now, Cyber Dragon, if you are a fan of the anime, Cyber Dragon is a very oppressive big monster. You make Cyber End Dragon, and you win the duel. Like cards with Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, it's an OTK machine. Once per turn, you can send up to 2 monsters from the deck to the grave, and if you do, you can attack for each one. It's a massive card. It's an OTK, just OTK machine is what we call this card between me and my friends. But also, Cyber Dragon can also kind of play a little bit of a combo deck, because Cyber Dragon Infinity is a big interruption. So there's the main core of these decks is you're always going to have a deck revolved around one of them, but there are a little bit of hybrid variants. Like Dark Magician, for instance. My meta Dark Magician deck is a super control-based deck. We run skill drains, we run the Dogmatica cards. But also, you can climb up into Access Code Talker. There's combos in there. And every deck has a little mix of those, and I'm really excited to get into the thick of it with all of you on building decks and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to jump into stuff like that, but again, that's for another episode. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just so excited to talk about it. And so that would kind of be kind of like a ramp-up deck into something. It's just, there's ramp-up decks where you can mix 3 or 2, and it just works. So that is basically this video. I know it wasn't super I'm kind of off the top of my head. I'm just very excited to talk about all these things. So if you like this kind of video, and I'm very excited, I'll get into a deck building portion of it again, probably next week sometime. But if you guys are interested in stuff like this, thanks so much for watching. I do want to say my YouTube has been exploding recently in terms of growth. We've gotten like 60 subs in this month alone, and I can't thank you guys enough. But I am wanting to know what you guys are wanting to see, so I can keep doing Road to Ranked or Road to Platinum, I'm sorry. I love doing that, but also I want to do a little bit more educational stuff for this game and stuff like that. That's probably going to be it for me, but before I sign off, I do want to say I do stream on Twitch. All my links are in the description below. We stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/ohbother and everything like that. And if you like the video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, you don't have to, but it does make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside when you do. So, thanks guys so much for watching. Peace out.